more important for you to think of a routine. All right. Now, we all have busy lives. Now, when we start leaving our dogs alone at home, there are some things we have to remember. I'll give you an example. When weekends arrive, most of the time, my kids have things going on. My husband and I have other things going on, or my family has functions or some such. Not a particular time of day that's fixed where we will go out and return, right? It could be early mornings or late nights or luncheons or whatever it is. But we have to make sure, and we do this with military precision, we make sure our dogs get walked. We make sure our dogs have eaten. Only then are we even stepping out of the house. So come rain, come shine, come a previous late night party or whatever it is, we do not skimp on the dog's exercise. Routine is paramount. So if you have skimped on that, expect to see misbehaviors later. No excuses here. We're adults. And if we say, oh, but I have to leave at this time, which clashes with my dog's walking time, well, too bad. Then advance your walking times, step out of the house sooner, make sure your dog gets the exercise, because come what may, you cannot leave a dog alone at home if the dog has not been exercised enough. All right. But the question is, what kind of exercise? Am I asking you to take your dogs off for 30 minutes, 45 minutes of walk or whatever it is? No. Stick close to what your general routine is. If my dog only walks 15 minutes in the morning on any given day, I will walk my dog for 15 minutes that day. But I will also make sure I add a little more oomph to that exercise, which is I'm going to create a time before I leave the house where my dog has a little more exercise than usual, but exercise that they enjoy. For example, I will walk through that. If I have a dog that loves to sniff, I am not going to exercise that dog with a game of fetch. Sorry, but that's just not going to work. My dog might just look at me and say, what fetch? You go get that ball. I'm sitting right here. I'm not going to go chase after a ball. Do you think I'm a dog? You might have a dog that thinks like that, right? I'm not going to fetch you. Go fetch the ball. You don't want to give your dog that kind of exercise. You want to give your dog that exercise where their noses are working, which is what they enjoy. So think again. I'm going to touch a little more about that, but choose the right kind of exercise before you leave your dogs alone. A little more well-exercised or tired dog is a better dog to leave at home for an extended period of time. So that brings my point to, what do your dogs actually enjoy doing? Okay. Now, a lot of us may never know the answer to this. We just assume my dog is a retriever man, lab. He will love to fetch. But if you have never taught fetch to your dogs, or even a retriever who instinctively should know how to fetch, you can't just play fetch with him. Suddenly one day say, go get the ball, buddy. But he's going to look at it and say, what? The ball's rolling on the floor. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. You tell me what I'm supposed to do. Or if you say that, come on, let's play tug, and you're dangling a tug rope in front of a dog that's never played tug, but the dog is a pit bull. You expect the dog to tug. Dog is looking at the rope saying, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to hit me with this rope or something? So you have to work on identifying what is it that your dog enjoys doing. So we will talk about how we do that, right? Get the right amount of exercise, but also figure out what is the kind of exercise you need to do above and beyond the generic walks. All right. So this is the basics that you need to make sure you give your dogs. Clear? Any questions so far?
Yep, we do have a couple of questions if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I will check these things. One of them is Gauran, she said, I want to leave my dog in a separate room, but not sure how to provide him access to relieve himself since he uses the terrace. And it's not safe for me to leave open the terrace door. Well, it depends on how you've set your house up. So Gauran, without even knowing how your house is set up, I would say if you are uncomfortable leaving your terrace door open because, burglars or, nice little flying birds come into the house and make a mess inside your house. I don't know what that is, but I would say maybe consider training your dog to relieve itself on a pee pad, perhaps. If your dog is really young and they need to go out every 3 or 4 hours, then I would say, yeah, you probably need to consider an alternative place of relieving themselves. However, if your dog is older, and I mean, more than 10 months of age, your dog really doesn't need to pee every 3 or 4 hours. Even if your dog is given a chance to pee every 6 hours or so, you're good, right? So I would say don't worry so much if you're leaving your dog alone in a period of time where you know you're going to be back before their next outing, right? So don't get worked up about it. If you think, yeah, my dog is young enough where he has to go, then I would say consider an alternative means of allowing your dog to relieve himself or herself, right? So Nidhi, you say, my dog loves to play with her dog friends in the park for at least 30 minutes. Hoping that's enough and at the same time safe. I hate to give you that answer, which really frustrates me when I hear that answer. It depends. I don't know what your age, what the dog's age is. I don't know the breed of the dog. I don't know what is the kind of exercise your dog is getting in the park. So here's the thing. I don't take my dogs to any dog parks. Okay. I am not a dog park fan because I just don't see anything beneficial coming out of them. However, if your dog does enjoy running around and chasing and, all of those activities, then I would say maybe that's good enough. But depending on the age and the breed of your dog, you have to see if it's enough. Okay, so you just read she's 1 year golden. She runs around a lot. So a 1 year golden, 30 minutes of exercise, unfortunately, is not enough. Okay, I would request you to not just have her play. Now, what's a retriever? Think of the breed. Do some research on the breed. A retriever, like in the name, is a dog that was bred. The whole purpose of the dog's presence on earth was to retrieve prey. So if I was a hunter, this dog would be right by my side and I would shoot down prey. And once I had shot the bird or the fowl down, this dog would run towards the bird, pick it up and retrieve it for me. Okay, so that was the whole requirement of a retriever. Feed the basic breed instincts of the dog. I would rather have you play fetch with him, where you're just having your dog run and fetch and fetch and fetch. That's a basic need of the dog that needs to be met. If you think that this running around is enough for your dog to stay calm for the rest of the day on any given day, maybe continue with it. But I would say 30 minutes of playtime with the friends and then another 10 minutes of playing fetch is good enough for you to be ready to say, yeah, my dog's done. And now I'm ready to leave my dog alone at home. Okay, this is just preparation for, leaving your dog alone. So I would say just try that, right? Follow the dog's breed instincts. Mansi, you say your dog, she loves to run and fetch balls, but she would never return the ball to her. Yeah, that's a common thing. What do dogs do? More than fetching, they like to be chased. Okay, so that means, I have a ball in my mouth. Now come, get the ball. And what do the dogs do? They don't know to drop it yet. They're like, come, you come chase after me. And then we go to take the ball out. They're like, no, not giving it to you. Come. And they're going to run around and you're going to chase after the dog. So what does it turn into? A game of chase, yes. Right? Same things would have happened when they put a sock in their mouth or a shoe in their mouth. Always. It's common where dogs are like, no, come chase after me. So what you'll have to do is start teaching your dog how to drop, which means first step, I'm not going to run after you, buddy. Sorry, too bad. You've got to stay close to me. Or you have that ball in your hand. Great. I have this other ball. What are you going to do? Which ball do you want? Dogs always want what we want. Okay. So start playing a game of trade. You to show your dog something else in your hand and say, unless you drop it, you're not getting this valuable thing in my hand. And your dog is going to drop it. As soon as your dog drops that ball, throw the ball that you have in your hand. They're going to run after that ball instead. In the meantime, pick up the ball they just dropped. You get the idea, right? You play a game of trade. So this is a constant trade-off that you do. But please never ever chase after your dog. This is something that is completely different from this topic, but I had to say it. We've all done this. And I used to make this mistake as well, running after my dog. But never do that. Try and trade off. That's always the best thing for you to teach your dog how to drop, right? And then Radhika, you say you have an 11-month Frenchie. She tends to pee more often, maybe every 4 hours. Should I be worried? How can I work towards extending that gap? So again, Radhika, it really depends on a Frenchie. So you have to realize the breed of the dog, right? These dogs are, I hate to say it, but they have been bred so much. They have turned into a mishmash of different breeds together. So sometimes, depending on how your dog has been bred, they may never have an adequately developed bladder. Okay, so breeding Frenchies is actually a really, an extremely hard thing to do, breeding them right. Any flat-nosed sort of species or breed, that is something you'll have to figure out and see if is your Frenchie's bladder fully developed. That's a conversation you have to have with your vet, right? Sometimes your vet might say, yeah, this is a rather small looking bladder for a dog this age, primarily because of poor breeding. Or the second thing is your dog has just realized every 3-4 hours, I'm going to go for a walk anyway, so I'll pee there. So dogs, what do? Every time you take them out, once they're housebroken, whenever you take them out, they're like, 8 minutes, I've smelled something. I'll leave my mark. Now I'm ready. Let's go. Right? So it really depends on how you work with your dog. Have you taught your dog every 3-4 hours, buddy, leash is going to come on and we're going to go? Then maybe you change that. Rather than taking them out every 3-4 hours, take them out every 5 hours and see how that changes, right? So you'll have to work with your vet and also see if you can extend that period of time when you're taking your dogs out to relieve themselves. Okay. Gauraj, thanks for the doubt clearings. Indoor potty training. Yes. You would probably need to work on that. It's a 6-month-old retriever, so you're probably looking at, every 2.5-3 hours of outings are required. Yes, I agree. Probably better to think about leaving it, or you can have someone come home, take your dog out quickly for a 5-minute walk to relieve themselves, or leave them upstairs, bring them right back down, shut the doors, right? You could always do that. Radhika, you say how much exercise is good? Oh, so for the golden 1 year, exercise is good for her. 30 minutes walks thrice a day. That's great. That's a lot. That's good enough. But make sure your dog is getting enough sniffing to do during the walks, and that it's not just a casual stroll. They are fast-paced walkers. So try and pick up the speed of the walk if you're going for 30-minute walks, and we'll see how that goes. Indies, breed instincts, great. I'll come to that, Jaidev. We will cover that depending on what really excites your dogs. 9-month-old cocker, please, anybody who has a particular breed, except for Indies, any particular breed, please go AKC, like the American Kennel Club is a fantastic website for you to even understand why your dog was bred. Once you figure out what was the breed requirement, why they were actually bred on earth, you will be able to understand how much exercise is needed for them. A Cocker Spaniel is a gun dog. It is a dog that was bred to hunt. It is a dog that requires a phenomenal amount of exercise. They have really high energy levels. They are flushing dogs. That means they love to jump. They're very agile. So you probably need to think of giving them agility exercises. You need to walk your dog at least twice a day for at least 30 minutes. And you have to give them a lot of activity that requires them to be agile around the house. So teach them to jump over chairs, crawl under beds, crawl under tables. You've got to do these kinds of activities for them. So Medha, you say Indy tends to destroy things. Great, fantastic. How to teach him to be independent. I will touch upon that. Okay, so I'm getting another question. How do you figure out what kind of game a dog loves to play? Excellent, we will cover that. Okay, if 4 months Shih Tzu, potty train, leave her for 5 minutes, pee pad, but she keeps, whole 5 minutes, she keeps barking and whining. Okay. Okay, all right. We will address, so Jigisha, we will address this towards the end, okay? It's not related to this topic, but I'll certainly come to your point later. Shih Tzu exercise, like I said, they don't require a lot of exercise. Read up on the breed. They were bred primarily as toy dogs, lap dogs, so they don't require a phenomenal amount of exercise, but these are dogs that require different kinds of stimulation. You have to work on training. You've got to work on desensitizing them to touch, different kinds of activities that you have to do. We will address that.